Good afternoon, everyone, and happy National Transfer Student Week. Welcome to our Rutgers, New Brunswick Transfer Student YouTube live chat. My name is Marcy Rosas, and I'm Assistant Director of Transfer Recruitment and Outreach here at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. I also happen to be a very proud alumna of Rutgers, and I'm here to talk to you about the Rutgers New Brunswick transfer admissions process. I'm going to put a link in the chat box right now. So if you want to connect with us, if you open that link up, you can fill out a little form and it'll let us know that you were here today. We do like to know who attends our transfer student events. So I'm going to be talking again about the transfer student process here at Rutgers. I'm also putting another link in the chat box right now that contains a link to our information for transfer students PDF. It contains a lot of the pertinent information about our transfer admissions process here at Rutgers, New Brunswick. And a lot of the information that I'm going to be talking about is included in there. So definitely take a look at that. That's probably the most important piece of information. All right, so I'm going to talk about a few things. I will be answering questions as well. Hi, I see there are students joining us already. Ann Mall, hello. Thanks for joining us. So if you have questions, just feel free to put them in the chat and I'll be answering those as well. But one of the things I just want to talk about first before I go into the application process is some of the things that we have in place here at Rutgers, New Brunswick to help our transfer students acclimate. And some of those are we have transfer-specific new student orientation. So our new student orientation is transfer specific because we recognize that the transfer student experience is different than that of first year students and that your concerns are going to be different. So we do have that, which is great. That typically happens before you begin each semester. And our School of Arts and Sciences, which is our largest school and offers most of our majors, it requires all incoming transfer students to take a 1-credit course during their first semester here at Rutgers, New Brunswick. And that course gives students all of the tools that they need to be successful at Rutgers in the classroom and outside of the classroom as well. Most of our schools here offer transfer mentorship programs, which means that you have availability to students that have transferred to Rutgers before you, and they can kind of show you the ropes, which is really, really great. Our School of Arts and Sciences also has a Tau Sigma Honor Society. This is a national transfer student honor society chapter, which is great. We also have living learning communities for students who want to live on campus. And a lot of these are open to our transfer students. We have one that's specific to transfer students. It's called the Transfer Nights Living Learning Communities. And that's if you want to live with other incoming transfer students so that you get to meet a lot of them. So let me look to see here what's in the chat here. Has Rutgers started giving out spring decisions? Not yet. Students, let's talk a little bit about the application timeline for transfer students. So for spring, students who applied by our spring application due date, which was October 1st. So you need to have submitted your application by October 1st and all of your supporting credentials, which for Rutgers is going to be transcripts from every college that you've attended. And the application fee, which is $70. And very few transfer students need to submit a high school transcript, only if you've completed less than 24 college level credits at the time of application, those students do need to submit a high school transcript. But if you have 24 or more college level credits completed, you do not need to submit a high school transcript. So as long as all of those things were submitted by October 1st, you're guaranteed to get a decision by December 1st. Does that mean that you are going to have to wait until December 1st to get your decision? No, not necessarily. A lot of students will hear before then. The majority of students will hear in November. But the only date that we guarantee that you're going to hear by is December 1st. So for students who are applying for transfer for fall 2022, the application due date is February 1, and students that apply by February 1 and have all of their academic credentials in, or all of their credentials in by February 1 will be guaranteed to get a decision by April 15th. Same kind of thing here. Does everybody need to wait until April 15th to get the decision? No, not necessarily. Most students will hear before then, usually in March, even in February and March. But the only day we guarantee that you're going to hear by is April 15th. Can we still apply for the spring 2022 semester? Harry's asking. That's an excellent question, Harry. So yes, even though our application due date of October 1st has already passed, we are still accepting applications for spring 2022. So there are a lot of students that will apply after October 1st for spring 2022. Those students are not guaranteed to get a decision by December 1st. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they won't get a decision by December 1st. There's still a possibility that they will be able to get it by then, but it's not guaranteed. So yes, we still are accepting applications for spring 2022. So let's talk a little bit about the ways that you can apply to Rutgers. So there's two ways to apply to Rutgers. You can apply on the Rutgers application or the coalition application. Rutgers is not on the common application. So you can apply either one of those two ways. Most transfer students end up applying on the Rutgers application, but we really have no preference. And I just want to mention that again, we have no preference. There is no essay that's required for transfer students. You can submit an essay if you want, but it's not required in any way. So students are not penalized if they don't submit an essay. And then I see here, I am overseas, so I'm hoping to get a decision early to book my interview date. I applied in September. Yes, so Anmol, we are prioritizing international applications from overseas. So those students who have applied already and completed their application already will be prioritized for a decision, but they have not started going out yet. So I want you to know that we are aware of that, and we're going to get those decisions out as soon as we can. We are working to get those decisions out as quickly as we can. So I mentioned before that if you have completed 24 college level credits, you don't need to supply us with a high school transcript. And so essentially, once you've completed 24 college level credits, we base our admissions decision entirely on what you've done in college. We will need transcripts from every college that you've attended. So not just the college that you're currently attending or your most recent college. If you took even just one course at a different college, even if that course appears on your current college transcript, we are going to need a transcript from that particular school. Even if you attended a college and didn't complete the semester, if you withdrew, we're going to need to see a transcript showing that you withdrew from that college. So we're going to need transcripts from every single college that you've attended. That's very important. I want to talk a little bit about some of the admissions requirements for all of our schools here at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. So all of our schools have a requirement that you can't have any grades of D or F in your last 12 to 15 credits that you completed, okay? So if you do have any grades of D or F in the last 12 to 15 credits, that means you're going to need to take another minimally 12 credits in order to be considered. Also, your last term or your last semester GPA that you completed needs to be minimally a 2.6 or higher. I'm going to talk about the cumulative GPAs for each of our schools, but all of our schools, the last term GPA needs to be a 2.6 or higher. Any remedial coursework that you took needs to be completed at this point. So it's fine that if you had any remedial coursework, but you should be done with that at this point. You shouldn't currently be registered for remedial courses. You should have English composition or an English writing course, college writing course. Different colleges have different names for it. Either completed or in progress at the time that you apply, with the exception of students who graduated from a high school outside of the United States. If you graduated from a high school outside of the United States, you will need to show English proficiency, English language proficiency. And there's two ways to do that. If you've taken an English composition course in the United States and you got a grade of a B or better in it, that will show English language proficiency. But if you haven't done that yet, you will need to provide us with an English language proficiency examination results. And that is, tests like, for example, the TOEFL, the IELTS, Duolingo. On the transfer flyer that I put in the chat box, the link, it gives you a website that you can go to, and it'll show you what the English language proficiency examinations that we accept and what are the minimum scores that we're looking for. And Mal, I'm applying for a business course, but I do not have pre-calculus, and it is a prerequisite. Yes, so unfortunately, when a prerequisite means that it needs to be completed before you can be admitted. So if you have not taken pre-calculus, or if you're not taking it this semester, this fall 2021, then you will not be admitted to the Rutgers Business School because that is one of their prerequisite courses. So if that is the case, I don't know if you apply to other schools within Rutgers, but if you apply to the School of Arts and Sciences, the School of Arts and Sciences does not have that prerequisite. If you're admitted there, you can start there in the spring and then take the pre-calculus course in the spring, and then apply for an internal or school-to-school transfer into the Rutgers Business School for fall. Anyway, to be honest with you, Anmol, if you applied, the business school in New Brunswick is only offers fall admission. I think you mentioned that you had applied for spring. If you applied for spring and you applied for a business school, it wasn't the New Brunswick Business School because they don't offer spring admission. So you might have applied to the business school in Newark or Camden, and I don't believe they have that pre-calculus prerequisite. But if you're applying to the Rutgers Business School, it would be for fall 2022. That's the next semester of application that's available. And if you did apply for fall 2022, then you can take the course as long as you're taking the course either in fall 2021 or spring 2022. And you have the other prerequisites. So since we're talking about the Rutgers Business School, let me talk about the prerequisites for the Rutgers Business School. Their minimum cumulative GPA requirement is a 3.2, and they require a 4-credit pre-calculus course and minimally 2 pre-business courses in addition to that. The pre-business courses are Intro to Financial Accounting, Computer Applications for Business, Intro to Microeconomics, Intro to Macroeconomics, Introductory Statistics for Business, okay? However, if you've taken a 4-credit calculus course, then you only need to have 1 additional pre-business course. So that's basically how that works. And you need to have that minimum 3.2 cumulative GPA. They also, in addition to they don't want to see D's or F's in the last 12 to 15 credits, as do all our schools. They also don't like to see any grades of D or F in any of those pre-business courses, or the, of course, pre-calc or calc course. Okay, just looking to see if there's any other questions I haven't answered at this point. All right, so that's the Rutgers Business School. I'm going to talk about some of the requirements for some of our other schools. So the School of Arts and Sciences, which is our largest school, offers about 90 different majors, and a large portion of our transfer students transfer into our School of Arts and Sciences. The minimum cumulative GPA for the School of Arts and Sciences is a 2.8. There aren't any specific course requirements other than what I've already mentioned. They do strongly recommend that computer science majors have already taken a 4-credit calculus course. That's a very heavily science, math-based major. So it's great if you've already gotten that 4-credit Calc 1 course out of the way, but it's not a requirement. Okay, I think there's a question here. If you withdraw from a class, would that affect your application? That's Adhanis Vinueza. So if you withdraw from one class, it usually doesn't really affect your admission. If you have 1 or 2 withdrawals, throughout your college transcript, but if it's a pattern of withdrawals, there are some students that I've seen where there's a pattern where they consistently register for 15 to 18 credits and then withdraw from, 2 classes, 1 or 2 classes each semester. We don't like to see a pattern of withdrawals, but 1 or 2 withdrawals is not a big deal. Just want to mention that. That's a great question. So that's the School of Arts and Sciences. I'm going to go along talking about the requirements for our different schools here and answering questions in between. Our School of Environmental and Biological Sciences offers about 20 majors in the life and environmental sciences, and they do have some prerequisite courses if you're applying for spring. So when you apply for spring to the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, they want to see that you've already taken Biology 1 and Biology 2 at the same college. They want to see that you've already taken a chemistry course and a pre-calculus or higher level math. If you're applying for the fall, however, you don't need to have those prerequisite courses. The minimum cumulative GPA for the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, whether you apply for the fall or the spring, is a 2.8, just like the School of Arts and Sciences. I also want to talk about our School of Engineering. So our School of Engineering offers 10 different Bachelor of Science degrees in engineering, and they have a minimum cumulative GPA of a 3.0. They do have specific prerequisites as well. You need to have taken Calculus 1 and Calculus 2, 4 credits each, a calculus-based Physics 1 course, and a Chemistry 1 course before you apply to Rutgers. They, in addition to not wanting to see grades of D or F in the last 12 to 15 credits, just like all of our other schools, they don't like to see any grades of D or F in any math or science course. So that's our School of Engineering. Hi, Jaspreet. Good to see you. All right, so then the Ernest Mario School of Pharmacy. So the Ernest Mario School of Pharmacy, students applying there are actually applying into a 6-year PharmD or doctoral degree in pharmacy program. It's broken down, the 6-year program. The first 2 years are what are called the pre-professional years, and then the remaining 4 years are the professional years. You can only transfer into the 3rd year of the pharmacy program or the first professional year. So you essentially need to have taken all of the courses that our students take in those 2 pre-professional years. It's too many courses to list on the transfer flyer. We do give you a website that you can go to so you can see all of those courses. You do need to have a minimum of 60 or more credits completed by the expected semester of entry. And the pharmacy college admissions test, or PCAT, is optional this year for 2022. Okay, it was optional last year and it's optional this year. And an interview may be required as well. So I just wanted to mention that. Let's see if we have any questions. I was a bit tense. This is Jeffrey about not having the higher level math course for SCBS. Could you kindly tell me if not having it will have an effect on my application decision? So it is a prerequisite. So it may have an effect, and I think we've chatted about this, Jeffrey, via email. So it can have an effect. So we'll see what happens with that. Mason Gross School of the Arts is our School of Fine and Performing Arts. They offer majors in music, dance, theater arts, visual arts, filmmaking. Students applying to Mason Gross, in addition to supplying us with transcripts, have to also have there's a talent assessment portion to the application. So there is a supplemental application, and then the talent assessment is usually either an audition, a portfolio you have to submit for review, or an interview. And that is a very important component of the application for Mason Gross School of the Arts. So you could have a 4.0 GPA, but if you don't have a competitive talent assessment, you may not be admitted to Mason Gross School of the Arts. So that's very, very important as well. I would say the majority of students that are admitted to Mason Gross have a GPA of about a 2.7 or above. But again, that talent assessment portion is very, very important. All right, there's a question from Harry. Do you offer any scholarships specifically for transfer students? That's an excellent question, Harry. We do offer scholarships specifically for transfer students. There are two. The biggest one is Phi Theta Kappa. Phi Theta Kappa is $8,000. Per year, and it's renewable for the second year. So this is a scholarship that's for, in fact, both of our transfer scholarships are for students that are graduating with their AA or AS degree from a community college. For Phi Theta Kappa, it could be a community college anywhere in the United States. A student has to be a member of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. The minimum cumulative GPA for consideration is a 3.8, but the 3.8 doesn't guarantee the scholarship. We award 50 Phi Theta Kappa or PTK scholarships per year. We award, these are available in the spring and the fall. And because there is a finite number of scholarships, it is a competitive scholarship. Typically students that are being offered the scholarship have 4.0 GPAs, or the lowest GPA that I've ever seen for an offer in the last few years has been a 3.97. I think this past fall, they were all 4.0s. But in the last, I would say 3 years or so, the lowest has been about a 3.97. The Lamadou Scholarship, Francis B. and Paige D. Lamadou Scholarship, is only for students graduating from a New Jersey community college. This is only available in the fall. And the scholarship ranges from $1,750 per year to $3,500 per year. It's been awarded at the $3,500 amount in the last, I would say, like 7 or 8 years. And again, very similar to PTK, the minimum GPA for consideration is a 3.8. But this tends to go to all of our high achieving transfer students who are not a member of PTK, so they tend to all be 4.0s because there's only a handful of these scholarships, like 5 or 6 that we award per year. So there is no separate application for our scholarships. All students have to do in order to be considered is to apply by the application due date for the semester that they're applying. So you're applying for spring, that would be October 1st. For fall, it's February 1st, and you have to have your application, all of your credentials in by then. By virtue of doing that, this is the application for admission, you're going to automatically be considered. For Phi Theta Kappa, you do have to say yes to the Phi Theta Kappa question on the application. We do ask if you're a member of Phi Theta Kappa, and that's how we can identify you. You will not be asked to prove that you're a member of Phi Theta Kappa unless you're being actually offered the scholarship, so you don't have to provide proof up front. And that's typically in December for students that are starting in the spring, and in April through May for students that are applying for the fall. So just to give you a timeline there. me see if there's any other questions here. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So that was great. But in addition, so those are the 2 Rutgers scholarships that we offer. But however, Rutgers also participates in NJ Stars too. If you are a New Jersey Community College transfer student and you have NJ Stars at your current New Jersey Community College, you can get NJ Stars too here at Rutgers. The only thing you need to do is on the application, when you complete the Rutgers admissions application, we do ask you if you're in NJ Stars right now. Make sure you let us know. That way we can identify you, and then we will reach out to you with any additional information that we need. But you usually get your name from the HESA office, New Jersey HESA, the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. And they let us know that you were an NJ Star student, and then we just have to verify a few things. This comes in way at the end. It comes in at the very end of your financial aid package. You can get up to $1,250 per semester on NJ Stars, and like I said, it comes in at the very end. We just have to verify that you're graduating with your associate's degree and all of that. So those are, and then we do also partner with an organization called the Dream.us. And this is not a Rutgers scholarship, but it's this other organization called the Dream.us that we partner with. And they have scholarships for New Jersey Dreamers. And so there is an application that you need to complete on the Dream.us, and the scholarship is for students that are earning an associate's degree anywhere in the United States, and it's only for the fall. So students applying for the fall, you need to submit an application on the Dream.us website by the end of February in order to be considered for that scholarship. So let's see if there's any other. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say about the Phi Theta Kappa. The Phi Theta Kappa scholarship is open to international students. So that is one scholarship that is open to international students. So let me talk about some of the other schools that I didn't get to yet and what they look for in terms of admissions. We have our School of Management and Labor Relations, which offers an labor studies and employment relations major. That major can be completed 100% online. It's one of the only majors at Rutgers, New Brunswick that can be completed online. You need to have sophomore status by the application due date. Sophomore status means you need to have minimally 24 college level credits. And there aren't any specific course requirements. They are a lot more flexible than all of our other schools in terms of the minimum cumulative GPA that they're looking for. That is a 2.5. They're very non-traditional, student friendly as well. So that is our School of Management and Labor Relations. Then we have the Edward J. Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy. They offer 5 different majors, and each major has different prerequisite courses for each individual major. You do need to have sophomore status as well for the School of Management and Labor Relations. And you have to look at the prerequisites for each individual major. They are on the transfer flyer, which we've been putting the link in the chat so that you can access that and see what courses are required. They, similar to the School of Management and Labor Relations, are a lot more flexible than most of our other schools in terms of cumulative GPA. The minimum cumulative GPA for the Blaustein School is a 2.5 as well. But again, both the School of Management and Labor Relations, Edward J. Blaustein, and all of our schools have that requirement. I talked about it before, and I'm mentioning it again because I didn't know if you joined us after I spoke about this, but you can't have any grades of D or F in your last 12 to 15 credits for any of our schools. And then lastly, our School of Nursing. The School of Nursing offers an RN to BS transfer program. So you can only transfer if you are transferring in with an RN degree. And there's another option, but this is for students who have already earned a bachelor's degree. It's a second degree program. It's a 14-month accelerated second degree program. So you can complete those programs, you can complete the RN to BS completely online. And the majority of students that are admitted to that program have GPAs of 3.4 or higher. Okay, so those are all of the schools that you can apply directly to, and the specific requirements for those schools. I want to mention a couple of other things for students. The majority of students that transfer to Rutgers University, New Brunswick are coming from the New Jersey community colleges. About 70% of our transfer students. We get about 2,900 transfer students per year, and about 70% are coming from the New Jersey community colleges. I want to talk a little bit about this wonderful thing that we have in New Jersey that's called the New Jersey Statewide Transfer Agreement, or the Lampant law. And what that law stipulates, it was signed back in 2008, so it's been around for a while. And it basically says that if a student earns an Associates of Arts or an Associates of Science, or an AA or an AS degree at any of the 18 New Jersey community colleges, and then applies and is admitted to one of the participating four-year institutions, which Rutgers is one of those. So if we offer you, you have to meet the admissions requirements, and we just talked about what those were, right? But if you're admitted, we have to give you half of the credits towards your bachelor's degree, which in the state of New Jersey is 60 credits. So you're guaranteed to get 60 credits, and we waive your gen ed requirements. So that's a really, really nice thing. It was created to ease the transition from an associate's degree to a baccalaureate degree within the state of New Jersey. And in order to support that law, the state of New Jersey maintains a website called njtransfer.org. I'm going to put it in the chat box right now. And njtransfer.org has really great resources for transfer students that are transferring from within New Jersey. One of the greatest tools that is offered is a transfer programs tool. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to see which courses are recommended that you take at your community college to transfer into any of the majors, the participating majors at the four-year institutions. So if you go under the transfer programs, you have to select your community college and then select the four-year institution that you're planning on transferring to. When you hit the submit button, all of the majors that are offered at that particular four-year institution are going to pop up. And then when you select the major, what will pop up then will be all of the courses that are recommended that you take at your community college. So it'll have the course titles and the course numbers from your community college to transfer over to the four-year institution. So that's really a great tool. Another great tool that they have is a transcript evaluation tool. And the transcript evaluation tool allows you to enter all of the courses that you've completed at your New Jersey community college with all of your final grades that you've gotten in those courses. And then if you select the four-year institution that you want to transfer to, it'll give you an unofficial but accurate transfer credit evaluation. So that's also a really, really nice tool. Another tip that I have for students that are transferring from New Jersey community colleges is to take advantage of your transfer advisors. All of the New Jersey community colleges have transfer advisors, and they are a great resource that can help you with the application process. If you have any questions about what you see on NJ Transfer, they are the people to go to. And again, that is something that's included with your tuition and fees that you're paying at your New Jersey community college. That's a service that not every student takes advantage of, but they should. So it's very, very important. I'm going to put a link. I don't know if I do also recommend that all students, including transfer students, take a tour of campus. Right now, we are offering in-person tours, we have in-person bus tours, we have in-person campus walking tours, and we also have virtual tours that we're offering. And so I just put the link in the chat box if you want to sign up for one of those tours. And we do encourage you to come check it out. Rutgers, New Brunswick has a very beautiful, vibrant, and unique campus. It is broken down into 5 smaller neighborhoods or campuses or neighborhoods. Each one has its own distinct personality, environment, feel, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's one of the aspects that really makes Rutgers, New Brunswick so unique, because each campus or neighborhood has its own kind of flavor. And we also have this great thing where we have an inter-campus bus system or a shuttle system so that students can get from campus to campus. And it's really a great thing. It's one of the things that I think is just a wonderful part of the Rutgers, New Brunswick experience. And if you've grown up in an area that's like a suburban area or a rural area, this may be your first experience with public transportation. And you're going to learn how to navigate a public transportation system in a very fun, non-scary way. You get to like actually meet people on the bus, and you hear the best conversations on the bus. It's a great way to catch up with everything. I know when I was a student here way back many moons ago, I would do a lot of reading on the bus, so you can catch up on things or even get in a little last minute studying and all of that. But it's really very convenient, because even if you have a car on campus, and all students can bring cars on campus, you can't like park right in front of the academic buildings. There's very few parking lots near the academic buildings. They're usually for faculty and staff. So student parking lots are a little farther away. So it's the best way to get, most convenient way. You park your car and you take the buses to your classes, and it's a great way to get around. Very hassle-free. All right. Question from Rutby. Does Rutgers provide flat tuition rate after 12 credits? Does it vary for the 3 campuses? It's a great question, Rutby. Yes, so 12 or more credits is considered to be full-time. And so we have a flat rate for students. And it's so tuition and fees for a New Jersey resident come out to about $15,000 a year. If you want to live on campus, then that's usually like another $13,400 or so. But students, it's a flat fee. So whether you're taking 12 credits or you're taking 18 credits, you're paying a flat rate each semester. So once you're a full-time student, if you're taking less than 12 credits, then you pay per credit. So that's a really good question, and that is the same. So that is the same for all 3 campuses, but student fees do vary from campus to campus. When you're talking about campuses, I'm assuming that you're talking about the 3 universities. Rutgers actually has 3 universities. There's Rutgers University New Brunswick, which I'm representing right now. There's Rutgers University Newark, and there's Rutgers University Camden. We are 3 separate universities within the same university system, and the fees for each school does vary a little bit. So you definitely want to check that information out. I will put in the chat box our Financing Your Education brochure. The Financing Your Education brochure has the tuition rates on it, but you can also always check our website as well. I think somebody else may have asked another question. Adonis, if you took English 1 and English 2, do you still have to take expository writing? I I can't answer that question for sure. It just depends on where you're transferring from. If you're transferring from a New Jersey community college and you have your associate's degree, then you shouldn't have to take it. But you know, if you're transferring from another university, it depends. So so we don't decide what transfers and what doesn't in the admissions office. It is decided by each individual school. They do their own transfer credit evaluations. As a general rule of thumb, if students have taken a course that we offer here at Rutgers and they have gotten a grade of a C or better, it should transfer, but that's not any guarantee of any sort. Okay, so all right, just looking to see if there's any other questions the students are asking. Just want to see here. Oh, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the transcripts because we get a lot of questions about that. So if you, in order for us to make a decision on your application, you can upload unofficial transcripts on your applicant portal. We don't need to see the official transcript. Of course, if you submitted official transcripts, that's great. We can make decisions based on those too, but you don't need to submit your official transcript in order for us to make a decision. You can upload an unofficial transcript. However, it does have to be a transcript of some sort. Sometimes we get students that send like screenshots of their portal from their previous school. It has to have your name on it. It has to have the name of the college that you're attending. It has to have your semesters, you know, in chronological order with your semester GPAs or term GPAs and a cumulative GPA. Okay, if that's something that is provided on your college's portal, then you can submit that. But you know, it has to resemble a transcript. So I just want to mention that. But we do accept unofficial transcripts that you can upload yourself on your applicant portal. And if you are admitted and you decide to attend Rutgers, at that point you will be required to submit an official transcript so that we can do the transfer credit evaluation. The transfer credit evaluation has to be done on an official transcript. I have a question from Harry. Can transfer students live on campus? Yes, so transfer students can live on campus. We're typically able to house all transfer students who want to live on campus as long as you apply in a timely fashion. And when I say apply for admission, and then the housing application you don't have to submit that until you've been admitted and you decide that you're going to attend Rutgers. This thing called your My Rutgers dashboard will open up for you, and the housing application will be on there. But it's usually students that apply to Rutgers very late in the game that sometimes they're not able to house them. But for the most part, we're able to house all transfer students who want to live on campus. So that was a great question. When do spring transfer applicants get a decision back? So spring 22 applicants who submitted their applications and everything by October 1st will be guaranteed to get a decision by December 1st. It doesn't mean that you may necessarily have to wait till December 1 to get your decision. Most applicants will hear in November, but the only date that we can guarantee that you're going to hear by is December 1st. All right, so Adonis, you're currently at Rutgers Newark. Okay, so if you're currently attending Rutgers Newark, you don't go through this application process that I've been talking about. The application process that I've been talking about is for students coming from outside of Rutgers. Students that are already within Rutgers, you would apply through the school-to-school application process, which does not go through the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. Let me see if I can give you the link, if someone can throw the link on for the school-to-school transfer process, find that one. So that, like I said, that's an internal application, so it doesn't come through Rutgers. It doesn't come through the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. It goes through a different. So I'm going to throw the link on right now. All right, let me just, I'm having a hard, I lost my cursor. Let me just get that here. I'm going to throw it on in the chat box right now, the school to school application. So that's a different application process. They have a different timeline, different dates, due dates, and everything. So definitely take a look at them. The requirements, though, the requirements are pretty much usually very similar to what I mentioned in terms of what you need to be accepted. But what's different is the timeline is different and the application itself is different. Okay. Nichelle, do students starting in January will be able to participate in federal work study program? That's a good question. I'm not 100% certain that is a financial aid question. I don't want to speculate on that. So I'm going to throw in the chat box, Nichelle, our Rutgers transfer email, and you can if you can ask that question and send it to the transfer email, I'm going to, we can find out for you or refer you to the financial aid office or our one-stop for that. Let me just get that on here. All right, so I just put in the chat box our Rutgers transfer admissions website, and you can, email address. You can send any email, any additional questions that you have, you can send there. And yeah, I'm not 100% certain. I don't want to give you the wrong information, so I don't really want to speculate on that. So, all right. So at this point, I pretty much talked about all the different things that about the Rutgers New Brunswick transfer process. So and I don't see any additional questions in the chat box. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. Happy National Transfer Student Week. We are going to be having Zoom drop-in hours tomorrow afternoon, and you can sign up for those as well. And again, thank you for joining us. Take care. Bye.